this might be a tough decision right now.
My team did
not just
absolutely
Some
garbage.
NFL games that were like,
Right.
whoa. I actually don't
Had
understand.
a lot of mixed feelings.
Welcome, Disgruntled. We have another guest here on the League of the Wings.
I just told Titus this, but you know Philadelphia teams are doing good when 76ers are the worst team so far. They're 0-1, Flyers are 3-0, Phillies are late into playoff runs, Eagles are 6-0. But today is going to be a fast episode because we haven't done one of those, and it's a time constraint. We're both exhausted, and so let's just jump right into the predictions.
Yeah, we made some. Well, I made some terrible Week 6 predictions. Caleb made some pretty good ones.
And not much better.
No, you made a lot better. What do you mean? 3 whole games better.
Oh, really?
Dumbass.
Oh, sorry. I'm just a dumbass. Oh, hey, wow. I actually did. I thought. I don't know. I just thought we both did bad this week, so I was like, didn't realize that.
It was just during that one time slot where you had the 4 games wrong, but all the primetime games and the late afternoon games, you got right.
Nice.
Yeah, so there was a competition last week for who could be the worst Thursday night football game this season. And, well, Chicago and Washington wanted to compete with Denver and Indianapolis.
They didn't succeed in that, I don't think.
You don't think so? You think Broncos Colts were the worst one?
Oh, wait, no. Oh, no, I think...
They're competing to be the worst.
Oh, yeah. No, I think this one was definitely the worst, even though there was 2 touchdowns scored.
Still less points. Two less points.
That's insane.
Just saying.
That's kind of impressive, not gonna lie. I feel like touchdowns are more exciting, obviously, than field goals, but I mean, I think I texted you this before, but I think I crowned the Colts Broncos as the worst game, and it was the best worst game just because it was solely field goals, even though it was more points than the Commanders and Bears, and I think I'm gonna stand by it. I think the Broncos was worse. Broncos Colts
is worse.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I think this one was definitely worse. I think Broncos Colts have like some star defensive players that at least made that side of the ball interesting, even if there was no scoring on the other side. And even with the lack of scoring on the other side, it came down to 2 veteran players that are like big name recognition. I mean, there was a whole thing about like Philip Lindsay returning to Denver and stuff like that. Like, I think there was like good storyline, at least, even if it wasn't exactly, it didn't pan out to be very exciting scoring wise. But when I look at like the Washington Chicago team, they're not very exciting like roster wise. Like, we know of Wentz and we know Justin Fields, but they don't really excite us ever.
Mm-hmm.
And on the defensive side,
There's
like
nothing.
Roquan Smith, I guess, is like the only one that comes to mind, maybe. Yeah.
You changed my mind. I think I was just solely thinking about just wanting the Broncos and Colts to end in a tie, but I feel like that just makes the game even that much better to watch and witness. Carson Wentz, he's out for 4 to 6 weeks with a finger injury, I believe, so he won't be returning anytime soon. Not that he was helping that much, but yeah. The next game would be San Francisco 49ers and versus the Falcons, one of many upsets this weekend. This weekend was jam-packed of great upsets. A lot of upsets this week.
I agree.
Exciting time to be in the NFL, at least for this week. It was 28-14, which I think is a convincing win. Just convincing, not like anything like dominant or anything, but convincing in a way where you don't necessarily have to worry too much, and especially since it was against the 49ers. So I feel like, I don't know, both teams are 3-3 right now. There's a lot of 3-3 teams. I think 3-3 teams right now. I think there's only like, 4 or 5 above 500 teams right now. Maybe 6. I forget the exact number, but it's a very slim number right now, which is insane to just see.
Yeah, I think that Marcus Mariota had a good game against a defense that is really good, and that was surprising. I don't think I had really seen him perform very well against I think this was actually his best performance all season. Even like not counting the defense he's playing against, just like stat wise and like, you know, touchdowns he put up, stuff like that. I think this was definitely his best performance. And the fact that it came against this good of a defense makes me start to think like, okay, maybe they're getting in the groove again. I think a part of that is also they gave him like less attempts, like less dropbacks. They're trying to run it a little bit more. And, you know, they couldn't exactly do it the past 2 weeks because Cordero Patterson was out, and they needed like another running back to kind of like step up and be the face of the run team. But I think they're doing a good job with the committee, it seems like there. Caleb just highlighted, like, he only had 129 yards, but 90% completion rate, 2 touchdowns, 144 passer rating.
And a rushing touchdown, I believe, too, which is insane.
Did have a rushing touchdown.
But he has such low yardage, too, which is crazy this year. He had, like, Titus just set out only 129 yards this game, and then he had 147 last game, 139, 196. His highest was 229, which is weird to see, especially from a 3-3 team, but it's weird to see in a league that is pass heavy.
Yeah, his passing weapons are also very, very young. Kyle Pitts hasn't really been used like a receiver as much as like a lot of fantasy owners would have liked. He's been blocking a lot. And as far as like Drake London goes, he's still learning, I think. Like he's been surpassing expectations, I feel. I think he's on the right track. He could be a definite star in this league, and whoever gets drafted by the Atlanta Falcons in the future at quarterback is going to be very happy, because I don't think Mariota is like a long-term answer by any means, but I think Mariota is at least going to keep him competitive and in the division, because like when you look into it, it's like the Bucks are kind of underperforming, Saints are still being kind of volatile. Can't really see who's definitely going to take that, because I think it's open to anyone now, more so than it was in the past. The only team that can't really get to is Panthers, obviously, but Atlanta's in the conversation now.
Yeah, most definitely, and it's nice to see, because I feel like we both, especially I think a little bit more so you, but I'm up there as well. We've been kind of on the Falcons bandwagon the past since we started the podcast. We kind of been always rooting for the Falcons to win. But the next
O-line has stepped up, by the way, which is like funny because Matt Ryan thought he was going to go to a better O-line, and so far it hasn't been the case. The Atlanta Falcons O-line looking very solid. R.I.P.
his O-line.
Yeah. So yeah, we got Patriots. I knew I said Parrots. We got Patriots and the Browns. Patriots took care of business as Caleb knew they would. Explain the decision making here.
Honestly, it was like 75% because of I just hate the Browns. That's why I picked the Patriots, and I just that new quarterback that replaced Mac Jones is going to be the next Tom Brady. I forget his name. I don't even know his name. He's playing really, really good. He's playing lights out.
Zappy?
Yeah, Zappy. I think it could also be like a Cooper Rush effect as well, where it's a backup QB where not a lot of teams have seen play from him. He's a new quarterback, and so they don't really have a lot of tape on him, so he's able to succeed. But scoring 38 points against the Browns is pretty impressive feat for anybody. And yeah, they were able to control it on the ground as well. I think they had like a long run for a touchdown as well. And it was just the Browns could not get anything going. And the Brissett effect is kind of showing in place where he is what we are thinking he is. Not that he was showing anything special. And Nick Chubb kind of declined too after the past few weeks of getting multiple touchdowns. So I think that also came in effect of he had an off game, and the Cleveland Browns didn't really know how to handle him not having a 2-touchdown game or a touchdown game and just completely controlling the game on the ground. And they were faced one of the few times that they actually had to pass it in the air, and they just couldn't do it because that Patriots defense is scary. Yeah,
I'm not gonna give Zappy any credit of playing lights out or anything like that. I think if there's any system that helps a backup thrive, it's going to be the Patriots because of how good their defense is and how good their run game is. Belichick loves his run games, and can make any running back kind of look like a star behind that O-line and just like his scheme. So yeah, I'm not really gonna like hand over like. I'm not gonna say he's like he should be the definite starter when Mac Jones is healthy or anything like that. I think it's definitely just Belichick's offense is that good no matter who's at center. And yeah, I think as far as like the run game, like I don't even say Nick Chubb had a rough game or an off game. I just think the Patriots defense is that good. Beforehand, it's like Jacoby Brissett was able to like get like key first downs in the air in order to keep the drive going, and so Nick Chubb would be able to rush on first and second, and then pass on third, get the first down, and keep it going like that. But Patriots were just locking Jacoby Brissett down, so there was just no chance for Nick Chubb to really like get the same volume he used to be able to get. Yeah, I think Patriots just always will probably have the better game plan against any opponent. It's just the other team's job is to, okay, how do we adjust to what their game plan is? And Browns just don't have like the weapons, I guess, to like have have the ability to switch it up mid-game, because a lot of it is depending on a backup quarterback who, let's be real, is probably one of the worst starters in the league. He's been surpassing expectations, don't get me wrong, but he definitely should not be a starter. And that's the expectation. Like when Watson comes back, he's going to get benched. So, I mean, Chubb has basically been leading that offense. Like they're very one-dimensional right now, and, their record shows it. They're 2-4. Their wins are like, they look pretty convincing when they do win, but their losses is like, yeah, the team just like had the better game plan. That makes sense. So
yeah, they're definitely on a high, especially after shutting out the Lions last week as well, 29-0. So yeah, they're on a little bit of a roll the past couple weeks.
The Patriots, yeah, I feel like the Patriots are also going to be one of those one-dimensional teams in the same way of the Browns. They just have a better defense. When you have that great of a defense, the offense can kind of just like keep doing their thing, even if it's not the most efficient or anything like that. It's like when you have such a lockdown defense, it's just like, okay, just keep pushing. Eventually you'll wear out the other team's defense and you'll get into the end zone. And that's kind of just what happened that game. In both games, honestly. Patriots defense is the MVP of their team right now, but I don't think it's going to last forever, especially once you get into the late portion of the season, injuries and just like other teams getting into an offensive, like getting on a roll, like their connections are like strengthening and stuff like that. Not as many mistakes being made, whatever. I think they're going to struggle a little bit more, and we'll see it like, I mean, we saw it last year. They started off really hot. Everyone was giving Mac Jones a lot of credit, and then towards the end, they started to tank. So I think we're going to see the same thing.
Yeah, I'm getting a very like mediocre vibes from them, it's just, I'm not seeing anything too bright other than that defense, and I don't think that'll last too long. But the next game, which was another upset, I don't even know if it's an upset, but just...
Oh, yeah, sorry. I was looking one game ahead. Never mind. You're right. Yeah, the Jets did beat the Green Bay Packers. Fun family coaching situation here because... I believe it's Matt LaFleur is the coach of the Green Bay Packers, and then Mike LaFleur is the offensive coordinator for the Jets, which he's been doing great over there. Mm-hmm. We haven't even really heard about Wilson's return or him having a good or bad game because the run offense has been fucking amazing for the Jets right now, between Michael Carter and Breece Hall. I think I feel like they're finally giving the reins more to Breece now than Michael, whereas the start of the year is definitely Michael, but, that happens. Just give it to a hot hand, obviously. And, yeah, Zach Wilson has just been able to game manage, which obviously, like, with a young quarterback, you want to, like, give him some challenges where he's going to have to make those big plays on his own. You don't like to see a young quarterback kind of get, like... how do you say, just let him get like compliant with the way things are going with running the ball, because when it comes time for him to make those big plays, he may not be ready or out of practice, especially now he's coming back from injury. So that's my one worry about the Jets, but their defense has also been locked down against Aaron Rodgers too. Like Sauce Gardner is one of the defensive players that has really stepped it up in order to like really, make this defense into one of the better defenses in the league. And it's like all of a sudden it's like out of nowhere, like no one would have even considered the Jets to be like a top 10 team. Now I saw Stephen A put them in like his top 5, and like people are going crazy about the Jets out of nowhere. And obviously they're from a big market in New York, and everyone's just surprised that both New York teams are kind of doing well right now. So it's going to get that hype and that marketing, but it's a long season. You got to be able to keep it up. I think my expectation was that they'd get 7 wins. Yeah, it was. And I kind of still stand by that. It's going to be hard. They still got to play the Bills, Dolphins. Like, I'm not sure if they've played them yet, but, got to play them twice a year. And I'm sure they have a lot of difficult AFC opponents because AFC is stacked. So, yeah, I just think let's calm down a little. Like, I don't think they're playoff bound by any means. I think they are on the right track because they are still kind of like rebuilding anyways. So I expect them to like fall short of the wild card spot, but be able to like be in a good position to keep rebuilding and then cross that threshold next year, because they just have so many young pieces that like I don't like the expectation of them having to do too good yet. Like but they've done phenomenal so far, and Green Bay kind of doing it as we like were worried they might do now that Devontae Adams is gone, and they're depending on some younger receivers. Like Aaron Rodgers is not being as efficient or as dominant as he once was. It's worrisome. Like I don't know if they're the favorites to take the division anymore now that the Vikings are 5-1. It's kind of worrisome.
And I think this game definitely showcases the Green Bay Packers' faults. I feel more heavily than the Jets. No, I don't know. I feel like we also need to talk about like how the Packers are kind of on this downtrend without Devontae Adams, like you said, and there's a struggling offense and a struggling defense. They can't really seem to get anything going really, and it's really uncharacteristic because the last 3 seasons before this one, they only lost a total of 3 games each season, and they already have 3 games lost this year. But the Jets are on the roll, and I think they have a lot of upside, and it's definitely a new type of energy from the Jets that we haven't seen in over a decade or 12 years. And since the bless you. Yeah. Since the back-to-back AFC championships, I believe, or a couple AFC championships with Mark Sanchez. And yeah, it's just a definitely new environment for the Jets that we haven't seen in a while. And they still have to play the Bills twice. They have to play the
Patriots twice in 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And then they play the Dolphins at the end. They managed to get the Dolphins when Tua was out, so they got kind of lucky there. They're not going to get as lucky next time. And they still got to play Vikings as well. They're actually their schedule isn't that bad as far as the non-divisional opponents go, but I mean, when we're talking about getting into the playoffs, divisional opponents matters. So yeah.
But your team is on a little bit of a roll here.
Oh, let's not call it that.
A little bit of a roll.
They've turned it around. I'm not going to say they're on a roll. They're just doing the minimum. They're finally doing the minimum of what we expected them to from the beginning of the year. What did I say that they'd end up being? I said they'd be 12-5. I no longer believe they'll end up 12-5. I think I still stand by my record of 8-1, even though they have finally kind of gotten back on track. They are 3-2-1 now, but they have a lot of hard opponents ahead, including Giants, Cowboys, Eagles on the NFC side, and then on the AFC side, we still have the entire AFC West. Other than the Chiefs, we took care of the Chiefs and the Broncos, but the Chargers and the Raiders are going to come back better than ever. I already know it, because their record is down real bad, so they're going to make up for it, some positive regression there. And yeah, I'm afraid of running into them. I also feel like Patriots might embarrass us, especially after a big win against them last year. They might take care of business again, and it's just going to feel terrible. Yeah, I have some worries about our schedule, especially with how things have been playing out. I think the defense, I'm fairly certain they're the top 5 defense in the league. Jacksonville came with a really solid game plan, as they have done like every year. But Doug Peterson, especially offensively, working with Trevor Lawrence, every time they play the Colts, Trevor Lawrence looks like
The GOAT.
an all-star. Yeah, like, and that's just good game planning. We also are we are supposed to be one of the best run defenses in the league, and we had played like it for even in the first 2 weeks where we were looking really bad. At least we could say our run defense is looking pretty good. They exposed that. James Robinson had, and I think Travis Etienne more, had a really good game against us. Even our strengths can become our weaknesses at points, and that's worrying. But a lot of young players are stepping up, like Kylan Granson and Jelani Woods and Alec Pierce, of course, with the game-winning touchdown. And then on the offensive side, like EJ Speed stepping up. He might be one of our best defensive players this year. And I don't even think you've ever heard of who that is either. EJ Speed, he's like leading the league in tackles. He's ranked number 1 out of linebackers and run defense by PFF. And other than Stephon Gilmore, like no other name really comes to mind as far as like who's really stepped up for this team to actually get these wins. EJ Speed has been elite, and so has like the entire defensive line. Like shouts to Grover, shouts to DeForest Buckner, Kwity Paye before he got injured. There's a lot of like good things I can say. Matt Ryan has been, say what you will about Matt Ryan, but he's been dealing with a bad O-line and the expectation that he has to have this much volume. I think, yeah, he has the most completions out of anyone in the entire league. I'm pretty sure. He's definitely up there in volume, like top 3 in passing yards. So
He's the GOAT. He's a true GOAT of that league. He's going to come and win the MVP again.
I think he's a lot better than people give him credit for. It's just like we have a lot of young weapons that aren't getting separation, but they're now starting to. And Matt Ryan's starting to trust weapons that aren't getting separation more and saying like, okay, they can catch this even if they don't have a separation. Like Alec Pierce, like he's been really good in those one-on-one tight situations where he can just go up, catch the ball over someone and moss them, you know? Mm-hmm. Matt Ryan's starting to trust that more. A run game is starting to get going even with running backs that we never thought we'd have to start, such as Deion Jackson. We're starting to figure out our offensive line and pass protection. They actually played decent. We finally figured out like, okay, who should be at left tackle? Okay, fucking whatever his name is should not be at tackle. Matt Pryor, yeah, put him in at right guard. He probably shouldn't even be on the line at all. I mean, he was still letting a lot of pressure at guard, so that was bad. But we're still figuring it out, and I think we're on the right track. Is the silver lining, and we got a big win over a divisional opponent. It's our first win over a divisional opponent this year out of 4 games, which, you know, it sucks that we had to have this rough of a start, but when I look back at like the starts that Frank Reich has had on the Colts, it's like we're used to having like really bad starts with him. 3-2-1 is actually one of the better starts we've had with him. The only better one I would say for sure is with Phillip Rivers when we started 4-2, and even that started with an embarrassing loss at Jacksonville. So no start has been perfect, but we've always managed to like get back into the conversation later in the year, and we're starting to do that again now.
Yeah, the slow turn of a Colts season. Yeah, I don't really got much to say other than Matt Ryan's the GOAT. And yeah, it's exciting to see this offense get turning. Pittman with so many receptions. Thank you. Yeah. Like 13 130 yards, baby. But yeah, this is a really exciting time for the Colts because it's definitely an upswing that they needed and that the fans like Titus Oldham needed to survive this long grueling season. But yeah, 3-2-1 is not too shabby at all.
Yeah, we'll take it from how it started. I will take 3-2-1, but I'm still very critical. I still have us ending at 0.500 because you know what I said, like we're a 0.500 team. Every time we get a win over 0.500, we're gonna get a loss the next week. You know, that's just how I feel. I don't know about this next week. Actually, we may win, but I think right after we'll get hit with 2 losses to bring us back down. So Even if it's not win loss, it's gonna be like win loss. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like we're always gonna find ourselves back at that point because
mediocrity.
yeah, exactly. We're so volatile. We can beat any team, but we can also get embarrassed by any team. So
Yes, sir. And then we got the Minnesota Vikings versus the Miami Dolphins. The Vikings won 24-16, and this is one of the disputes that I won. Yeah, I think the Vikings are. I mean, I wasn't really watching this game too much, but
I don't know anything about the game actually.
I'm trying to see what I know other than like the Dolphins were switching out their QBs, Teddy and the other backup that they have.
Yeah, they try to do a quarter. What is it called? A quarterback committee, which I always find it interesting when teams do that because obviously quarterbacks, some are better at some things than others. So I think it's smart actually.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously like it just goes to show like damn they missed Tua. They're gonna get him back next week, I'm pretty sure. Although like they better be careful with him. Like if he's not ready, he better sit out. Obviously. But I actually think they like did decent. Like we don't expect that much from the Dolphins right now without Tua, because like this is still a young team that had their young quarterback starting to really like take it up a notch, and then he just got injured at the worst time. Like a team like that is not going to be able to like get wins. You know, it's going to be very hard. As good as a backup Teddy Bridgewater is, I consider him one of the better backups in the league. Like that's just a tough break for any team. Tyreek Hill still put up 170 yards because
he's tired.
He might break Calvin Johnson's record. Don't look now. Don't look now. But with a backup quarterback the past 2 weeks, he's still on pace.
Yeah, and let's see if he can do it in 16 games instead of 17 games, because I feel like that's it's weird with the stupid 17 game.
I don't think it matters.
And breaking records.
If I'm being honest, I don't think it matters.
Why?
Because, I mean, it feels like 3 more games. Like, yeah, I get it. But 1 more game is like, you have to realize, like, it's not like you're playing 100% that last game, you know?
Yeah.
It's a long season. And a lot of the time you're going to be, like, thinking about playoffs if you're, like, a good team. And typically if you're record breaking, like, you're probably on a good team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, you're going to be playing, like, you're not going to be playing 100% throughout the season. And it's like, it's, you know, all the players, like, they knew they were going to get more money from an extra game, but a lot of players didn't want it because they knew how exhausted they would be.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, it's like, yeah, I think it might make it a little easier for, like, very resilient players who are able to last a whole season. But I think a lot of the time you're not going to find that. Like, I feel like a lot of players, like TJ Watt, when he broke the record last year, like, he didn't play all 17. But then people were still like, yeah, but he did it in a 17-game season. So still, and it's just like, I don't know. I feel like people are very nitpicky about it when it's just like, it really is just 1 more game.
Yeah, I never really thought about it like that. It's just, I don't know. I just like the nice even 16 games where you can
I do too. I think that was actually like a good season.
Yeah.
To have it 16, and like we're used to that when we think of like when we think of like our teams, like 11-5 and like. Yeah. Oh yeah, we're definitely like a 12-14, bro. And it's like now we have to think of it like putting an extra loss or win on. It's like, yeah, we're 13-4. It's like, it doesn't sound good.
Yeah, that sounds so grody. It sounds so grody. I like a nice even number.
Yeah, nice even number. It's divisible by 2, 4, 8, and 3. No, not 3. Never mind. I'm bad at math. Yeah, I'm not gonna speak that much on Vikings Miami. I think Vikings have had some good breaks as far as facing some of these opponents when they're at their worst. The only one they didn't get was obviously the Eagles when they're red hot. So
beat the red hot Eagles.
But let me just say, like, as much as I expect the Vikings to kind of like start racking up some losses, like in their division, they can still win. Like Packers aren't.
The Lions
aren't looking good. Lions, you know, as good as the Lions are, they're not going to be able to get it back together to be able to get to that mark. And then, so yeah, you know what I mean? Like, their division is definitely doable. I don't think they're like a Super Bowl bound or anything like that. But when I look at the Packers, I'm like, neither are they.
Literally no one in the NFC right now.
It's just the Eagles,
Cowboys, and Giants. Not even the Cowboys.
Cowboys still have to prove to me that they can have like a really good passing offense, which obviously like don't get me wrong, like Cooper Rush is in there, so like
Yeah.
they haven't been able to prove that to me. But I need some games with Dak Prescott before I can look at them and be like, okay, this is a Super Bowl team. Because even last year, I had some worries about like Dak Prescott's passing offense. You know, they're down Amari Cooper, for example. He's with the Browns now.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of the initial worries to the start of the season. I want to see that first. The run game is great, though. Don't get me wrong.
And the Eagles exposed them. All right, that's the way.
Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. We should run through some of these other ones because we wanted this to be a short. Cincinnati beat New Orleans as we expected them to. I didn't see much here other than Jamar Chase had a really good game. Joe Burrow probably had his best game of the season. They're back. They don't have a losing record anymore. They're 3-3, just like Joe Burrow said after starting 0-2, and it's like, calm down. He was like, we'll be back. Don't worry. It's like, it's all good. And I agree. Like, a lot of teams that end the previous season really hot, sometimes they'll start the next season really rough because teams have had a whole offseason to look at their film and be like, okay, this is what they're doing well. Let's try to take those out. And they've been able to take those factors out. They've put a lot more pressure on Joe Burrow and exposing the offensive line the same way the Rams did. And I think that is a big reason for the bad start, but now they're back on track. They're doing the same things that they were really good at last year, and this is what happened. So New Orleans, they'll be back. They'll kind of, I feel like they're also a .500 team in the same way. Like, they're 2-4 now. They'll get a couple wins. They'll be back on their feet. As much as you want them to like tank. You're back at fifth pick now. I think it is.
Yeah, you already know what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
This is good for the Eagles. We got the 5th overall pick now, but yeah, it just goes to show you why the Super Bowl hangover is real too, and why so many teams after winning the Super Bowl, for the exception of the Patriots, or the Chiefs even. It just goes to show the kind of the Super Bowl hangover is real, and that when you make it to a Super Bowl game, even if you lose, teams are going to hyper fixate on you because everyone's fixation is on that Super Bowl, obviously. And what did they do good to get there? No matter if they lost. But yeah, they're making a nice turnaround. That offense is high powered, and we both guessed Cincinnati. Oh, we didn't guess. We both got Cincinnati correct. But the next kind of upset, next upset of the.
I would say this was, I don't think we'd consider it one anymore after this game, but before this game, I would definitely say markets were favoring Baltimore to win, but Baltimore has a real fourth quarter problem, and I think that rests a lot in the hands of Lamar Jackson. Yeah. He's had some pretty bad games recently.
Yeah, and the last 2 possessions that he had against the Giants were not good at all. He had an interception and then a fumble, which basically sealed the deal for the Giants. And Giants should not be in this 5-1 position. I don't think. I mean, they are showing a lot of good things and a lot of promising things, but they still have a struggling offensive line. They still have Daniel Jones. They don't really have any receivers there, and I think it's just coaching that's
shot the ball.
And yeah, it's just the atmosphere that he's able to create that's created this chemistry, and that's shot up this chemistry a lot. And I think that's a big reason for why they are winning. And I think chemistry does a lot for a team, and he's showing it in the Giants, because I think even though they don't necessarily have all the best pieces right now, they still do have some great pieces. Like on that defense example, they were able to get 2 turnovers. Mainly it was more so Lamar Jackson's fault than the defense actually making any good plays, but you know, you got to give them credit where credit's due. They're 5-1. That's impressive. But I'm just waiting until that downfall, because I don't really trust it, even after winning like Green Bay and the Ravens. I don't know. I don't know what to expect of this team, to be honest. It's a weird season.
Yeah, looking at like statistics and particularly the markets and how like certain teams are favored over others and like betting scenarios and stuff like that. Like Giants are still like ranked one of the lower teams.
That's crazy.
Despite being 5-1, like a lot of markets are like calling it out as like BS. Like, nah. I think that's fair. I think, yeah, they're definitely off to a start that is kind of unforeseen, and that is good coaching. But Yeah, a lot's gonna catch up to them because I feel like I don't even know. Maybe I don't have a good reason for it. I think we all just have this idea. Like, I mean, when we look at the Jets, it's like, yeah, we see why they're doing well. They have like star talents at a lot of positions, a lot of young guys just like doing their job. But when I look at the Giants, I don't really see a lot of like stars, and except for Saquon Barkley, and that factor I think is fair. Like, yeah, it's Saquon Barkley, he's going to do well. But even on the defensive side, I'm like, wow, they have just been kind of getting lucky, or not even getting lucky, just like really good schemes, and like the coaching's been going in their favor. But I think there's going to be teams like the Eagles that are just going to expose that. At least, I don't know, maybe Giants will surprise them in one game.
I think the Giants can get us in one game because they always play us hard, no matter what the records are. I say that year in, year out, and yeah, I think a luck has to come into that too. But I think luck is a part of the game too, because like I can't sit here and say, oh, they're lucky, because the Eagles have been lucky this year in certain areas as well. Luck is a huge part of that in the league, and it's not like a huge. It's definitely, I think it's like 95% skill, or 90% skill and 10% luck. But there's some plays that have to go your way in order to move momentum.
Yeah.
And the Giants had to come back from 10 points in the fourth quarter a few times this season. So I think it's just goes to show the opposing teams not be able to control the lead when they do have it. Mm-hmm. And the Giants just being able to put a couple schemes together to go over top.
I definitely feel like it's more so the other teams has kind of just been shooting themselves in the foot. Mm-hmm. And Giants are capitalizing on it in ways that a lot of teams may not be coached to be able to do to such high success. Because like, I don't know how much like the Giants are creating their own success. I think they're just taking advantage of the other team's mistakes. Because when I watched the London game with Green Bay, it's like they started off real hot, but then they just started making a lot of mistakes, and all of a sudden here come the Giants. They just like, you know, kind of coasted their way to the win. I'm like, they didn't really do anything that like shocked me. It didn't feel like they dominated. It's just like Green Bay started making mistakes, and they're like, you know, that's great coaching. It's like, okay, let's take advantage, you know? Mm-hmm. And maybe just like great leadership, and like some players just being like really good locker room leaders. I don't know what it is, but they have the energy. And sometimes that's all it takes. Like, as weird as it is, it's just a very weird phenomenon. But like, you can be 5-1 just based off of good coaching and
momentum.
Yeah, momentum. It's like
crazy.
The NFL is so weird. There's so little room for error when you have teams like the Giants. Because yeah, I don't see anything where I'm like, damn, they dominate. Other than maybe the run game with Saquon.
Yeah.
It's like, that's it.
It's definitely a weird phenomenon. I like saying that word.
Yeah, let's move on.
But yeah, Tampa Bay versus Pittsburgh. This is another upset this week. Pittsburgh beating the Bucks 20-18. And this is, yeah, Tom Brady should just retire at this point.
It's not looking good.
Like, Tom Brady, I generally think he wants to get to 100,000 passing yards, total passing yards for the regular season. But he would have to play like another couple of years to do that. I think he's definitely going to get over 100,000 passing yards total, including the playoffs, because I think he's only a couple of thousand away from that. But yeah, he did not play well. Well, I guess he had a touchdown and 243 yards, but he was apparently at a wedding, and he took off on Wednesday of that week before the game. And then there's like a lot of memes of him like just shouting at the own line, and he was like the only like player in the league where he can miss 2 crucial practices of the week, and then still able to curse out his O-line, and it's just crazy. It's crazy.
It was Robert Kraft's wedding, so the Patriot owner. I remember seeing that. I just wanted to make sure. Robert Kraft has been in the news cycle quite a lot this week.
With Jerry Jones too.
Yeah, that too.
Like them two together.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Steelers also going with the committee idea that the Dolphins tried. Pickett and Trubisky.
I succeeded. They're the best team in the league now.
They're not. It didn't go bad. Like, I'm looking at their stat lines. Like, 11 for 18 and a touchdown for Pickett, and then Trubisky was 9 for 12, 144 yards and a touchdown. What is that? 144 divided by 9? How many? That's 16 yards per completion. That's wild, Trubisky. So yeah, they're clearly still not very convinced in either of them. Obviously, like Pickett's the long-term answer, but they're like, yeah, we want to make sure we're taking it slow with him, I guess. I don't really know what's going on, but I'd expect Pickett just like take those responsibilities head on and just like take the full volume by now, but I guess not. We're gonna have to wait for that. But yeah, good defense, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck it is. Good coaching, good defense. Giants type game. Just kidding.
We're seeing the Brady downfall. We got the Rams versus the Panthers. I mean, the
Panthers are bad.
Yeah, the Rams just took care of business. The Rams started off shaky with that pick 6, but
Yeah, I mean,
other than that, they just...
Carolina only had PJ Walker.
Are you talking bad about the GOAT? In PJ Walker.
Bro, that's probably one of the biggest quarterback rooms in the entire league, and they're like down 3 of them. It's sad. It's like Corral's out for the season. Sam Darnold's now just getting back from IR. Baker Mayfield was out this week. They had Jacob Eason getting elevated to the practice squad. You know who Jacob Eason is?
Didn't you used to play for the Colts?
Colts legend Jacob Eason. He's a Washington Husky. We drafted, I want to say the 5th round. I think we drafted him in the 5th round. He had a competition with Sam Ellinger for backup QB before we ended up taking Nick Foles, and now Nick Foles has been demoted to QB3. Sam Ellinger apparently has been surpassing a lot of expectations. I had more of a good feeling towards Jacob Eason than Ellinger, because Jacob Eason has a fucking arm, dude. It's wild. Ellinger, not the most athletic quarterback, but apparently he's a smart guy that the Colts organization just fell in love with as a personality. And now he's QB2 above Super Bowl MVP. So, and only below a previous league MVP. So that's good. That's good company, man.
They can learn a lot.
I would love to see Jacob Eason get some snaps in Carolina, but I believe one of Darnold and Mayfield will at least be back for the next game. But hey, I mean, you're already a trash team. Like, let's experiment a little. Let's see what Jacob Eason can do, man.
There's literally nothing you can. There's nothing to lose at 1-5.
Christian McCaffrey going to the Eagles?
No, I would love
Brian
it.
Burns going to the Eagles?
Maybe. I wouldn't be mad if we picked up a running back, but Howie Roseman is not going to spend money on a running back, so...
Okay, then Cam Akers. He can't be that much.
I'll take that.
Okay.
For a couple milli is what?
Couple mealy?
Big Billy?
Yeah, just hop from one Super Bowl team to the next.
Yeah.
Seattle beat Arizona. Arizona's just looking worse and worse every week.
Fuck the Cardinals.
Of course, Marquise Brown got injured, and it looks like a very serious injury. So you know who they picked up?
The GOAT in Robbie Anderson.
Yes, sir. They traded for him. Baltimore also got Deshaun Jackson. I don't know if you heard.
Oh yeah, I did hear that. Yeah,
They got some speed on their side now, which they already have a lot of speed out in Baltimore. But yeah, Arizona now has Robbie Anderson, which wild. I've never really had that great of a feeling about Robbie Anderson, despite him being a Temple alum.
Yeah. I saw a meme and it was like Christian McCaffrey and another guy who's trying to get out of their organization. It was like them two looking at each other. It's like, is that all we have to do to get our to switch teams? Is to throw a little tantrum and run off the field, and we can switch teams.
Results may vary because a certain other wide receiver did that, and you know he's not in the NFL right now. So, but Robbie Anderson, of course, you know, very different situations. One could have been a Super Bowl team. Was a Super Bowl team. And Panthers are
I think
tanking for who do you think they're gonna get? Are they gonna be able to beat out the Texans to get Stroud, or do you think
I think they're gonna get a young
Bryce Young to Carolina? I would feel so bad for him.
Yes, yes, I would too.
I would rather Bryce Young go to the Texans, even though he's in the division.
You gotta play him twice a year.
I know. I mean, it's one of Stroud, Bryce Young, like. Texans are gonna get someone good, no matter what. Texans are that bad. Like,
it's not like they're gonna stop being bad.
Yeah, no, it's not gonna stop.
It's never gonna stop for the Texans.
Poor guys.
But the Seahawks won 19-9. They're kind of on a little hot streak. I was wrong about them. I said that they're going to go 2-15, so apparently not.
Apparently. Now hear me out. The Colts had the most scouts at the recent Kentucky game, where QB3 of the upcoming draft, supposedly, Will Levis, plays in Kentucky. Do you think the Colts are preparing to trade up to get a QB in the next draft? That'd be crazy.
The heck?
Or maybe they won't even have to trade up.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's enough speculation.
Hey, I don't think Jonathan Taylor is playing too good. You want Eagles first round?
Bro, like, he's going to cost more than Christian McCaffrey. I hope you know that.
Yeah, but Taylor's the only acceptable running back to get and spend money on.
Yeah, I love JT, so I hope not. But I'm worried, like, if this whole experiment doesn't work, they're going to trade away a lot of players. And,
Taylor's gonna be one of
running
them.
back is an easy position to trade away. I feel like it's just like, we'll draft another one, whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't want to see that. I want him to be kind of like Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb's been doing it a while.
Colt
At a high
forever.
level.
Yeah. He's been on the Browns and only the Browns, I think.
Yeah, so I would love to see Jonathan Taylor like that. But we also got a really good afternoon game. It was, I mean, I don't know the last time this happened, but it was nationally televised in the afternoon. It was not a prime time game, but it had a national window because it was the two best teams in the AFC. It's
And
Buffalo and Kansas City.
definitely a good game. And Josh Allen proved that he's league MVP. And I get to that later, but yeah,
For sure.
I didn't watch all of this game, but I definitely watched the beginning half of this game, and it was back and forth. It was like both offenses just didn't want to score. I mean, got a turnover from Buffalo early, a fumble, and then you got a rare turnover by Mahomes, both in the red zone, both about to score, and they're like, I don't really want to score in the first quarter anymore. So, but it definitely changed, and I didn't see the ending of this, so I can't comment too much. But yeah, the Buffalo Bills are a very immaculate team right now, and shout out.
Yeah, they're not bad.
Shout out to Chris, my sister's boyfriend, who got very lucky this year with teams because he's living in Center City, but I believe he's from Buffalo, so his main team is the Bills. So
Okay.
so he's a Bills fan by heart,
Best
and
of both worlds.
best of both worlds, and it's like it's the Bills. I feel like I was texting in the family chat, and we're roasting my sister because Chris put like a Buffalo Bills hat on my sister's head, and we were like making fun of her, and someone said, hey, the Bills are just the AFC version of the Eagles, and yeah, I will accept
Super
that.
Bowl bound.
Both Super Bowl bound and both
That'd be a crazy.
best fans in the world. Like, you don't got any other fans than the Bills and the Eagles, and as of now, maybe in a couple months it's going to change, but as of now, I don't have anything against the Bills right now, and I may even like them.
Anything short of a Bills-Eagles Super Bowl is a disappointment.
I agree.
As of this moment right now.
As of this moment right now, if you don't see an Eagles-Bills Super Bowl, that's come on. But that would be destruction of the country.
For me, no other team has even come close to deserving a Super Bowl appearance.
I agree.
I can't think of another one.
Everyone's so bad right now.
Yeah. It's been one of the lowest scoring seasons in a long time, I think. Defenses.
One of the lowest fantasy. This is the lowest fantasy turnout in 6 weeks and 13 years. So, yeah, a very defensive game this season for defensive year. But another Super Bowl contender got the Philadelphia Eagles beating the fucking Cowgirls.
We weren't sure it was going to happen. I can't believe you just said cowgirls. You're so dumb. It's like the dumbest insult.
You're Cowgirls. Get wrecked. But yeah, so the Cowboys, they suck. We exposed them on national TV. They're not anything. Come on, Cooper Rush. You really expected Cooper Rush to do anything? We picked him off 3 times. The only success they had was for 10 minutes in the entire game. 10 minutes. You gotta put a little bit more effort in that. Eagles controlled 50 minutes of the game. Yeah, sure, the Cowboys were able to put up 17 points in those 10 minutes. Doesn't mean that we still won the game. I mean, look, the only flaw that I see on the Eagles as of now is that they can't score in the third quarter. I would like them to dominating this second half more, and yeah, it's an exciting time. It's going to the bye off of beating the Cowboys, and yeah, it's nice. This is a nice feeling. It's always good when you beat the Cowboys going into the bye, and it's only up from here. Jalen Hurts looked great, and the only reason why he didn't have as many passing yards is because of that Eagles defense. He kept picking it off and turning the ball over on defense, and it calls for short field, and it calls for a low yardage game by the Eagles. So we're not used to the Eagles having low yardage, but it makes sense for why they didn't have many yards this game is because, I mean, they started off, I think it was their second drive or first possession, like they got an 80-yard drive. Like they proved that they can get yards, get a touchdown, and yeah, this team is so scary. But yeah, I could go on and on and on, but I'm gonna stop it right there. Go Birds! Like this is an exciting time to be an Eagles fan. Yeah, I'm just happy, and Philly fan.
Philly in general. Sixers are gonna be good. I think Sixers could be second seed.
I can see that.
For sure. Obviously they lost to the Celtics. Did we talk about this at the beginning of the podcast?
I think it was right before I mentioned.
Before we started recording.
It's only up from here. Only up from here.
Yeah, I think Sixers still have a lot of things to work out, whereas the Celtics, they just went to the finals. They kind of have it figured out. Just had to,
And it's an 80-game season, so.
Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah.
Chargers, Broncos. How do we feel about this one, Caleb?
I feel bad about saying Trey wrecked. but this was Russell.
Sad.
Russell, what are you doing? How do you only have 15 yards in 2 quarters plus overtime? How do you only have 15? How do you have more bathrooms in your fucking house than you do touchdowns right now? Like, I don't understand. Russell, like, what are you doing? I don't think you're going to get as many touchdowns as you are going to have bathrooms this year. Got 12 motherfucking bathrooms and only 5 passing touchdowns.
12 bathrooms?
Yeah.
He doesn't have kids, right? Does he have kids?
I don't know. He has got a wife, I think.
Well, yeah.
But I don't know if they have any kids or if I were.
What does he need 12 bathrooms for?
I don't even know. If I was his wife, I would get the hell out of there. Must be so miserable living with a corny ass dude. That's all I gotta say.
I don't know. I feel like she entertains it though. Like I feel like she's part of the reason why he's so corny.
That's probably why.
Giselle. I mean, not Giselle. What am I saying? Sierra. Yeah, Chargers are.
They got 2 kids.
You know what? I said Denver because I knew that if it was a close game and if the Broncos defense had been doing, Broncos defense things, then I think I said Chargers would struggle because in the past couple of years, they haven't really been able to do well in these close type of games, and they've always had weird losses and they haven't been very consistent. But they finally did it. And I was like, oh, maybe I need to give the Chargers more credit. And I'm starting to realize that now, like, okay, the Chargers are legit. They started off a little weird, of course, to start the season, but I'm starting to get the idea, like, okay, I think the Chargers are actually legit.
Yeah, they're finally turning a new leaf, which is exciting to see because I've been rooting for them.
Oh yeah, you like the Chargers.
I like the Chargers.
I think. Oh, Dustin Hopkins, shout out to him. He had an injury through the entire game, and fucking Herbert couldn't throw one passing touchdown, so he just kept having to limp out there. It was like, what is it, like
50 attempts?
What was his name? Like something Sterling. You know that skit with the soccer?
Oh, Scott Sterling.
Scott Sterling. That's what I felt like it was. Every time he walked out there having to kick another field goal just because the offense could not score a fucking touchdown. I was like, oh my God, this poor dude. Because every time he kicked it, he would fall to the ground. I was like, Jesus Christ, this dude can't stand.
Bro.
But he made every field goal. It was wild. So shout out to that
MVP.
Dustin Hopkins. I mean, Yeah, Herbert needs to score more. Obviously Keenan Allen's been out, so that's an issue. And also fucking Surtain locked up Mike Williams. I mean, your poor fantasy, bro. Like, dude only had like 2 catches.
Yeah, it was
He could have had another one actually, but they didn't review it. Could have been the catch of the year actually for Mike Williams.
Damn.
It was a wild catch that was called incomplete and didn't get reviewed, but I think it was worth a review even if it wouldn't have gone overturned. It was just so crazy. Anyways,
NFL's rigged.
Josh Palmer though kind of took care of it with like I think he had like 12 targets. It was insane, but like they couldn't get any like deep balls going. Like he had 9 receptions but only 57 yards. I mean, they just couldn't get far down the field in order to get those touchdowns and those big plays. It was just yeah. Denver defense is really good, but Russ is doing them no favors, and that's the difference. That's the difference between the Colts and the Broncos.
Yes.
This is karma for Trey talking all that shit about Matt Ryan and saying that we got a worse quarterback this season. Because if Wentz was in this situation right now,
he'd be doing so bad.
We'd be looking exactly like how the Commanders are looking this year.
Yeah.
All right. But instead, we have Matt Ryan who actually can put up that volume and can actually make game-winning plays, which he only did like once last season. Matt Ryan has already done that 4 times. 4 fourth quarter comebacks in 6 weeks.
It's insane.
Shout out to Matt Ryan does not get enough credit. I feel way better to be a Colts fan than to be a Broncos fan, and that's not saying much because being a Colts fan has been a wild ride and I hate it. But a lot better than being a Broncos fan right now.
Yes, sir, and it's crazy because Carson Wentz won the game with 99 yards, which is crazy because I don't remember one from a QB under 100 yards. And it's crazy that Brian Robinson, after getting shot twice, came back and scored a touchdown, and Keenan Allen is still out with a hamstring.
Brian Robinson's that guy, dude. Like, you're not going to hear Antonio Gibson's name again.
Yeah.
It's over for him.
Yeah.
Poor guy. I really like Gibson, but Brian Robinson is the truth.
What is Keenan Allen doing? With a hamstring? Come on, man. Come back from that.
Yeah, he'll be back. It's just like they think next week, but at the same time, the week after, they'll have a bye week. So, like, maybe we just wait the next 2 weeks to be sure.
Yeah. All right, we have to speed run. We've been going too long.
It's time for MVP race. So, yeah, I just want to go over top 10 quarterbacks in this MVP race and also positional MVPs. So defensively, a guy I should have talked about last week, but I didn't because I was so overcome with like Micah Parsons. Oh my God, that defense has them at 4-1. Oh my God, now that Cowboys are at 4-2, I'm like, okay, maybe we should look at someone else. Maybe someone who's been, also putting up similar numbers, but just not, winning as much as the Cowboys were. And then I saw Nick Bosa's numbers, and I was like, oh my God, this dude was out with injury this week. The camera turned off.
Oh fuck.
Nick Bosa was out with an injury this week, all right? So he's only played 5 games. It's been 3-2. So in those first 5 games, he had 3 wins. But he was out this week, where the 49ers, I believe, they lost to the Falcons. And I was looking at his numbers. I'm like, oh, my God. He's played 1 less game than all these other edge rushers. Yet he still is first in QB hits, tied second in sacks, and tied 5th in tackles for loss. So he was ahead that much to where even missing 1 game, he's still leading the way in QB hits and basically sacks as well. I think the person above him only has half a sack more. So that's very impressive from Nick Bosa, and I expect for him to, when he comes back, it's just going to be the same thing, right? Then you get Tyreek Hill. He's on pace to beat Calvin Johnson's single-season receiving yard record. So he's my wide receiver MVP at 3-3, 50% win rate. Last week I had Justin Jefferson, but ever since then, Tyreek Hill has overtaken him for leading in receiving yards at 701. He's also second in receptions, 50, and he has 2 touchdowns. I expect that to only get better and better once Tua comes back, so that's scary. And also Jalen Waddle is 5th in the league in receiving yards. So that whole offense is just amazing, honestly. Saquon Barkley, 5-1. First in all-purpose yards with 771. Tied second in rushing yards, 616. And he has 4 touchdowns, so... I mean, that speaks for itself. Saquon Barkley has been on here the past 3 weeks. Nothing new.
He's the GOAT. He's the GOAT.
He's an amazing guy. Number 10, I have Matt Ryan. And you may be like, haha, that's funny, Titus. Who do you actually have? But no, I actually do have Matt Ryan here. I think he's been putting up amazing volume and amazing numbers other than turnovers. Turnovers obviously were an issue, but finally he had a win where he didn't turn over the ball. So to me, that was enough for me to like at least give him a shout out. Maybe he's more so of an honorable mention than to actually be on this list, but he has a winning record, which a lot of these quarterbacks on here, they're still at 3-3, so he's doing better than most of the quarterbacks on here actually. He has 170 completions, which is tied for the most in the league right now. Was still a 67% accuracy, which is more than the person he's tied with. Obviously, the 7 interceptions and the 3 fumbles are worrying, but let's say he has a streak of not having as many turnovers in the next couple of weeks. I think we can find him actually having a very reasonable touchdown to interception ratio, and honestly, like similar to some of these other quarterbacks, like Joe Burrow has 5 interceptions, Lamar Jackson has 6 interceptions. We just need Matt Ryan to, start throwing a little bit more touchdowns, which, I think the Colts are starting to figure out. I think we could see him start to rise on this list actually very reasonably. I don't think he'll get into like the same conversation as like the top 3 on here, but I think he's worth mentioning at least. And he's been playing amazing with those 4 fourth quarter comebacks. So just had to give him a shout out. That's my guy. That's my quarterback. Aaron Rodgers took a dip after a loss to the Jets. I'm not liking what I'm seeing from Aaron Rodgers. It's just not the Aaron Rodgers of old and of the past 2 years where he's won MVP. It's just we're not seeing the same volume. We're not seeing the same success in the touchdown interception ratio area where he was usually like always the best. All the things that he was really good at, we're not seeing anymore. So, it still looks really good. It's still enough to be considered a top 10 quarterback, but I mean, we expect so much more from Aaron Rodgers where it's just like, wow. Yeah, I definitely don't expect him to get MVP this year. But he still has to be on the list because he's Aaron fucking Rodgers. As long as they have a winning record, I expect him to have reasonable stats for him to be considered here. At number 8, we have Geno Smith, someone who I haven't had in the past. Just because I was, I held reservations. I was like, whoa. Hey, Geno Smith, he may be good, but I'm going to have to see a little bit more before I even consider him on here. But he's just been playing some amazing football. He has the best accuracy out of anyone. The volume is not the same as, like, the top candidates of the MVP race, but I still have to say, like, 9 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. He's a run threat as well with 125 yards and a rushing touchdown, like... he's been doing some really good things. I have to give him credit. I think he has the second best passer rating on here as well. Like, yeah, just had to finally put him on here. He's over Aaron Rodgers, so like that's good. That's good. Good on Geno Smith. I don't expect him to rise much more from this position just because he doesn't really have the volume to be able to do that. But I still think it's a very respectable place. And for Geno Smith, one, I did not expect to even have him on here at all. So then we have Lamar Jackson. They're now 3-3. It's kind of just been kind of tanking since those first 3 weeks, where, he was scoring a lot, high volume, but now it's just been like a lot of turnovers, just a very volatile play, and I'm getting worried. I'm getting very worried. He's one of the least accurate quarterbacks. He's still scoring a lot, but otherwise, it's just, 6 interceptions. He has a fumble. It's just. He's still leading the way in rushing yards and average yards per carry, but yeah, I'm not liking what I'm seeing from Lamar Jackson. He has to be able to protect the ball better. So then you have Tom Brady. The reason I have him on here is just because 8 touchdowns, only 1 interception. So he's protecting the balls the way I want Lamar Jackson to be able to, and he has the volume, but like scoring wise, not that much. And he's also only at 3-3, so I'm a little concerned there. He's not exactly dominating, but he's been respectable, so we gotta have him on there. Joe Burrow then at number 5. He's finally back on here. Now at 3-3, he started off the year really bad, so I knew as soon as he hit a winning record, he would find his way on here. I didn't even expect him to be at 5 immediately, but just looking at his stats, like other than the turnovers that he had to start the year, he had the 3 interceptions, or what was it, like 3 or 4 against the Steelers? Like, he has 12 touchdowns. He has high volume, 10.6 yards per completion, which is pretty crazy. He also has 2 rushing touchdowns. So he's scoring a lot, all right? And I think that's very important. He's the reason why they have started to turn things around and starting to win games. I give Joe Burrow a great portion of that credit. Justin Herbert, he got a win, but it wasn't very exciting from him. So, still at 4-2. I got to have him at number 4 just because all the other quarterbacks, they're at 3-3. They're still kind of shaky. But Justin Herbert did not throw a single passing touchdown, so I can't exactly elevate him from this spot either. But he has the most volume at 170 completions and 257 attempts. He also has been sacked the least with 7, so good on the O-line for protecting him. Patrick Mahomes, he took a dip. Just because he's now at 4-2 now, he still has, insane Patrick Mahomes numbers. I expect him to be in the conversation all the way through the end of the season, but the top guys, Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen, they are just clearly the best. They have the best record. They have the volume. Jalen Hurts only has 2 interceptions and no fumbles, so he's protecting the ball more so than Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, which I would not expect for, Jalen Hurts being the younger guy. So yeah. That's my MVP race. Jalen Hurts at number 2, Josh Allen number 1.
Yeah, pretty good list. Pretty good list. Eagles have the best turnover ratio in the league, +12, and the closest is +4. So yeah, Jalen Hurts is doing a really good job at not turning the ball over. Let's get into these week 7 predictions. We got the first game. New Orleans Saints versus Arizona Cardinals. I got the Saints winning, even though I don't want the Saints to win. It's just what you said earlier about the Cardinals. They're slumping a lot, and I just think that the Saints can do more. And I guess Hopkins is coming back this game. It's just, it's going to be interesting to see what he can do with that lead and how or not lead. It's just interesting the dynamic of Murray and Hopkins coming into this.
Yeah, I think it's going to start off with a slow start as well, so I have the Saints. And then we have Atlanta versus Cincinnati, both 3-3. One of these is going to have to be a winning record. The other is going to have to be a losing record. You have Atlanta?
This is one of my upsets. I don't know if I want to call this an upset. I'm probably going to call this the upset of the week, but it's the Falcons I got the Falcons. I don't know. I just feel like they got another upset in them. I feel like they're kind of red hot. I think they can do it. I'm not too confident about this. I'm more confident about the other little upsets that I have, but I think this is the upset of the week for me. I always choose one upset, and yeah, I think this is it.
No, I think Bengals have caught their stride, and Atlanta is, they're not a winning record team in my eyes, so I got Bengals there. Then we have Dallas and Detroit.
I got.
Yeah, fucking Dallas. Wow. I think Detroit's due for a win. They're coming off their bye. Dallas, I don't know if they're getting Dak back or not, but still, no matter what, it'll be Dak's first game back, or Cooper Rush, who hasn't, who previously we thought was doing pretty well, but then, Philadelphia exposed them. And so I think Detroit is going to have a lot of content to look at in that film room and be like, okay, we should do what the Eagles just did. Not to say they have a very similar defense as far as star power goes, but, due to coaching, I think they'll be able to do something. They'll be able to do enough in my eyes. And they also have an amazing offense that will be fully healthy now. I think they're getting Swift and Amon-Ra St. Brown back. So yeah, I expect them to actually surprise everyone and get their second win of the season. They've deserved more, so why not against Dallas?
I think Dallas is going reverse psychology. That's the reason why I picked Dallas. Fuck Dallas. I usually pick Dallas only once a year, once or twice a year. So this is the one only time this year that I will pick them.
Starting off with 2 disputes out of 3, but we agree with the Colts over the Titans.
Let's go. Colts are gonna destroy the Titans because fuck the Titans.
Yeah,
no one likes them.
I just feel like it. Last year we didn't split with the Titans, but that's kind of the expectation with the Titans rivalry. Is we're gonna split. We're a better team this year than we were last year, as much as people are going to look at, our rough start and say, are you sure about that? But I really do believe it. I think we are a better team that is finally getting into our groove. I think we have the better players overall. Yeah, I think and I think the Titans are worse than they were last year. So, a lot of people are actually like higher on the Titans than I'd expect them to, which is weird. I think we're gonna, take the division lead here.
Yes. And continue their hot streak.
Yeah, no better place to do it than in Nashville. It would be hilarious.
Fuck the Titans. And then we got Green Bay, Packers versus Washington. I got the Packers. Come on.
Yeah, Sam. I mean, Washington's just done. They're going to be pulling out Heineke now. And they're getting Green Bay after a loss as well. And Green Bay is one of those teams that, like, when they lose, they go on a streak of winning.
They go back-to-back losses too.
Oh shit, yeah. They're like down.
They're down bad.
I haven't even like realized this, but like in the past years, they've been like a 13-3, 13-4 team, like back-to-back years. They are at 3 losses now, 6 weeks in. So yeah, I expect them to start winning a lot more because that coaching's elite there, and Aaron Rodgers is elite, and they'll make up for the lack of pass catchers.
I think it's gonna be a blowout.
Oh shit.
But you got Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus Panthers. Come on, it's the Bucs.
Yeah, we're getting some easy games. Come on.
That's easy.
What else you got?
You got Jacksonville versus New York.
This is easy. Jacksonville, obviously.
I got Jacksonville.
Yeah, Jacksonville versus the Giants. I mean, no, I think Giants could reasonably win this, but for some reason, I'm feeling like Jacksonville can be tricky, man. I don't know. Maybe they can do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something about Jacksonville right now.
I feel like they're going to expose the Giants because I feel like they're a lot better team than they were the past couple of years. And I know we were high on them for a little bit, and then they kind of slumped a little bit. But I still think that they're still the same team that they were at the beginning of the season. I mean, it's still the beginning of the season, but I think they have the tangibles to beat the Giants and expose them because they're not going to let up another deficit or another lead. But yeah, you got Baltimore versus Cleveland. Fuck Cleveland. I got Baltimore. Cleveland's just bad.
All right, now we're in agreement. Like, we've been in agreement for 5 straight now. Baltimore. Yeah, I think yeah, they're just the better team, and Cleveland, I could see them win.
Mm-hmm.
I think the matchup, it could allow for Cleveland to win, but yeah, I think Baltimore is just due to get things back on track, back on a winning record. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But then we have Denver and the New York Jets.
I got the Jets. Finally, the fucking Broncos aren't fucking prime time. Thank the fucking Lord. We got saved.
They've had 4 primetime games in 6 weeks, and guess what? They're still gonna have only one more primetime game, but two of their games are still in the national window. Mm-hmm. I think one's in London, or maybe it's in Mexico. I don't know. One will be in the morning slot for the whole nation, for everyone to see. So nationally televised, and then a Christmas game that will also be nationally televised. So they still have 3 nationally televised games to go.
That I don't like. Why?
And they're 4 out of 7. So yeah, I actually have Denver here.
I got the Jets on a roll. They're just gonna smoke the Broncos.
It could go that way. I just think, like, when I look at Broncos, like, their defense is really good. Mm-hmm. I think they can stop that run game pretty easily.
Yeah.
And I think, Zach Wilson will finally get tested, and he's going to have to pass it. And then Surtain is just going to lock down whatever. What is their number 1 wide receiver? Is it who even is it? Is it? I don't think it's Garrett Wilson yet.
I don't even know.
I don't know if it's Elijah Moore or what's the other guy? What's the other guy's name?
I know who you're talking.
You know what I mean? Like, they don't really have a true wide receiver 1, and yeah, Surtain's just gonna take care of business against whoever is put against him.
Yeah, and then you got a shit show and 1-4 Raiders, and then the 1-3-1 Houston. I got the Raiders. Come on, it's Houston. Like, Raiders are bad. Don't get me wrong, but they're not.
Yeah, Vegas is due to get back on track. Finally, get their second win.
They're not.
Devontae Adams won't be suspended yet, so.
Yeah, they're not Houston bad. But then you got the Seattle Seahawks versus the Chargers. This is another upset that I got. I think I'm going to stick with Falcons as my upset of the week, but I got the Seahawks beating the Chargers. I don't know why. I just feel like I'm in a little bit of upset mood, and you are too. We both picked the Seahawks to win, and yeah, I think they're on a roll and they can't be stopped, and I feel bad for
I don't remember why I chose the Seahawks, but why not? We're gonna roll with it. Next, we have the Chiefs, San Francisco. I think this will be an interesting matchup. A former Super Bowl matchup.
Oh yeah.
So
I got the Chiefs.
Yeah.
I just think they're the better team, and San Francisco is I don't know. They're looking more mediocre each week. They lose one, they win one. They lose one, they win one. They're the best team in the league. They're the worst team in the league. It's
wow. Now I'm thinking about it. After that Super Bowl, they were like, man, they're a quarterback away from winning the Super Bowl in terms of Jimmy Garoppolo, and now they're getting rematched, and it's still Jimmy Garoppolo. Obviously,
so
they drafted, but then poor Trey Lance, IR. So then you have Miami, Pittsburgh.
I got Miami.
Yeah, I think
Easy
Tua's
dubs.
going to be back. I think it could be close because Steelers' defense is still good, but yeah, I don't expect the Steelers' offense to do that well against the Miami defense. Miami defense is very good, so
Yeah. And then you got Patriots.
easy.
Bears easy. Last thing that I'll say to wrap up this podcast.
Terrible primetime game, by the way.
Why?
Patriots, Chicago? Why?
Why do they keep doing these stupid ass primetime games?
If you're gonna have Bears primetime, at least put them up against like the Bills or something. I don't know, like a really good team in order for it to be like at least one side interesting. But both teams are just gonna like run the ball and then have good defenses, and it's just gonna be like, yeah.
I hope the viewership goes down so badly with that, and the NFL will actually know how to fucking do primetime games.
All the primetime games this week are meh.
Yeah, like I'm not excited to watch any
Four
of
of
these.
them are 2-4, and the other two are 3-3.
I'm not excited to watch any of these primetime games. I probably will not watch majority of them, or at least all the way through.
Yeah, I'll only watch if there's like fantasy implications, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I got Hopkins and Murray. I'll probably watch the
Tyreek
Cardinals.
Hill, Miami, so.
Yeah. Last thing I'll say is fuck you, Titus, for beating me.
Oh yeah, I won fantasy. We did it.
Fuck you. Oh, that's gonna be the thumbnail. But yeah, it was a bad week. My entire roster is just bye and IR. Literally, all my bench, I out with injury or on the bye. I had to do so much moving around. My entire team was decimated. So I'm like, you know what? I put up 83 points. That's more than I was expecting. If I picked up Deion Jackson, yeah, LMAO.
That's who I'm playing against.
And then he got fucking lucky this week.
He's starting Alec Pierce against me. No. No, he's gonna go off.
Yo, Titus got so lucky with scheduling because he got back-to-back easy schedule.
As far as like bye week luck goes, I'm playing a guy who has a lot of Vikings players for some reason. He was starting Kirk Cousins, Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, and Irv Smith Jr. And then he also had Isaiah McKenzie on the Buffalo Bills and Darrell Henderson on the Rams, and they all have a bye. His wide receiver core is going to be Chase Claypool, Josh Reynolds, and Alec Pierce. And then his running back duo is going to be Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. He has both the Dallas running backs starting against me, so I'm pretty confident.
Yeah, yo, I'm so mad that you got that fucking luck because you fucking.
All of them could like randomly go off though. I could see.
I hope they all get 50+ points. I hope you lose so miserably. I just want my revenge.
Damn.
No, I'm just joking.
It
But,
won't even be your revenge though, because
Yeah.
someone else is doing it.
yeah, but it was a tough week. Yeah, Titus, I feel like you're going to get on a roll again. Like it's rare that you lose back to back. So I feel like you're going to be like, fuck this. I feel like you're going to go on a tear in the league, and I feel like it's just going to be.
It's gonna be over for everyone.
It's gonna be over for everyone. All right, but I gotta get out of here. I gotta go on the fucking SEPTA.
You don't have to.
Yeah, I do. Fucking, I'm gonna be late. The person's gonna be waiting for me, and fucking. Oh my god. So unfortunate.
Bye, Caleb.
Bye. You wanna just do the podcast until I come back?